Welcome to Baker 85223. This here is a presentation that collates everything Concordium's representative Maria Eisner-Pelch contributed with during the first ever Web3 Stronger Together virtual summit, where she was invited to a panel discussion on distributed autonomous organizations and their sustainability. This content has been curated for you so that you don't have to watch the whole panel discussion to hear what Concordium said, and so that you can better retain the information. Consider delegating to Baker 85223 for more exclusive content. Visit ccdbaker.com to learn more.
I would love to invite you to introduce yourself by answering one question. What drives you and what brings you here on this panel to discuss the topic of DAO sustainability from both personal and professional perspectives?
Yeah, so my name is Maria. I am with a layer 1 blockchain called Concordium, which has a zero-knowledge identity at the protocol level. And I think what brought me here today was I've been in contact with different people in the community. And I think when Martin explained to me that this is, it's built by volunteers and it's about having real conversations rather than these rehearsed and practiced panels, I was quite curious, because a lot of the times I think we miss out on some of the really important conversations because everything is planned ahead. So that was what really drew me into this. And I've seen the panels today, and I think it really lives up to the expectations that I have. So I'm really honored to be part of it. On a professional side, what brings me here, I've been working with technology since my whole life actually. I'm a business by degree, but I'm a techie by training. And then I normally go that I'm an environmentalist by necessity, which is I've always been very cautious of the planet and how we treat it. And I've worked with AI and I worked with a lot of deep tech, but it was only when I stumbled upon blockchain technology that I actually thought that we had a really powerful technology to solve some of the challenges that we have. And I think DAOs is, we have one of the grandest, most biggest challenges ever affecting the entire planet, but we have no means for organizing around it. And I think a DAO is one of the best ways I've seen to actually organize around this and create the right incentive structures. So this is a conversation that I'm super passionate about.
Next, I'm curious about the advantages and drawbacks of a DAO. Transparency in transactions is important for all stakeholders. I once received a message from a woman who needed wood in her house because it was cold, and it made me question our work. This underscores why decentralized decision-making and involving token holders in decision-making is ideal. However, inviting people to vote on decisions can cause delays, and smart contracts are not perfect. What is your experience with building and operating a DAO? What are the pros and cons? How can a DAO be sustainable in the long run? What is the key to their success?
I had a lot of experience working with traditional NGOs, and I think in my experience in my former job, a lot of the things that they were trying to do was to really get the voices of the communities that they were trying to help and tie the beneficiaries closer to the donors. And it's difficult to actually get that community participation, because you needed to be in the environment, you needed to invite people in, and it was this very cumbersome process. And I think if you take that process, which normally would take a chunk of the budget for once, but it would also take time to plan and actually make that happen. I think we did one project that took about a month to try to figure out how that we could work better with the money from the donors and help the beneficiaries more. I think with a DAO, you get a more instant understanding of what topics could be interesting. You actually get the opportunity to harness the wisdom of the crowd in a much more different way than we've been used to. And I think that is perhaps way more important than speed sometimes. Because maybe you would have gone into a community and you would have done this beneficiary-driven innovation and you would have listened into one person, but maybe they did have fire in their house or like wood to make a fire. So I think it's the benefits of actually opening up and inviting in through a DAO setup is greatly surpasses any issues there could be with time.
What are your thoughts on the sustainability of a DAO in terms of engaging the community? And how important is it to involve users who may be less familiar with the technology or have limited access to it? How can a DAO overcome these challenges to achieve long-term success as an organization?
I think that's a really good point, because it's about, are you able to ensure that what people gather around is interesting and important enough for them to keep the sustainability of that DAO alive? So how do you take the incentives of actually joining? And I think the topic of sustainability and doing good for the planet, I think that is one that is naturally gearing people to continue to contribute. But with a lot of the DAO projects, oftentimes the incentive can be so high that it's, once that monetary value or that voting power isn't as attractive anymore, then you drop out of it. And I think, helping people in need, helping the planet, personal well-being is really something where the incentivization keeps going, which will give you that longevity of having a DAO, because the way you contribute actually just reinforces that you want to continue to do it. But it's tricky, I think, setting up those mechanisms that is, for the greater good and not for the individual accomplishment.
Can you provide good examples of sustainable initiatives implemented by big companies through Web3 that have been successful?
I have one. So I'm heading up the work we do on ESG and sustainability, and we just last week we announced one with a state-owned company, which is renewable energy certificates. So obviously in the green transition, there's a lot of different energy mixes, and the way we normally trade these is that we get a certificate and we buy into that for the coming year. And then at the end of the year, we look at how much energy did we consume, and if we didn't use all of the certificate, we would sell them back, and they would just be traded 1 million times, or not 1 million times. I think they like up to 4 times. I think that's the normal measurement. And what we're building now with them is a solution that goes in on a 15-minute basis and actually timestamps any green energy being produced in that given period, meaning that you have a certificate that you can trust and that can't be traded. And I think that is something for a green transition that really makes sense, because it's about actually fueling money into the places that are trying to decarbonize the way we do energy. So to me, that is a really, really cool solution that I'm insanely excited about. Not that much of a DAO topic, but it's really, I think it's impressive. It's a state-owned company choosing a public blockchain and trying to make sure that, we don't fiddle around in our energy claims. So it's about solving the problem of greenwashing. Have a use case building that is seafarer certificate, so people going out on boats. And the way it works today is that you have like a briefcase of the actual certificates with you, because it's such a dangerous job that you need to have all of these credentials, because the company is responsible for your life. But you carry around this briefcase, and we're looking into it with one of the bigger marine schools in terms of, can we actually do, so Concordium has this ID layer. So you're identified, but you don't necessarily give out your ID, so you're still private. But you get a soul-bound token with that information in that ID credential proof. And it's just a zero knowledge proof saying, do you actually have the right credentials to go work on this boat? But I'm not giving away all of the information about myself, where I'm birthed, and all of those things. And I think those use cases are going to be massive in this coming period. And I think I completely agree with you, Andrew. A good place to start would be like, I don't know, a company like IBM who does a lot of internal training, or any company that does internal training, start with that. But there are actually industries where this is a huge issue. I mean, imagine if I'm going out on a drilling platform or wherever I'm going to go and I just steal a friend of mine's paper. You need to be sure that it's actually me and I was the one who achieved that certificate. So yeah.
As we wrap up this presentation, Maria uses the summit to issue a cry for help, which also gives us a good hint at what could be an exciting future use case.
Which is about this ESG reporting that a lot of companies has to do. I've been working for a few months on actually figuring out a way to do that using a blockchain to make sure that the data is accurate, that you can actually share it among your ecosystem participants, and that you as an individual can actually access it. So it's a cry for help to the community and everyone in Web3 Stronger Together. If you have anything on ESG reporting or any ideas, I would love to connect with you.
Thank you for watching or listening to this presentation. Remember to consider delegating to Baker 85223 to support the creation of content like this and get exclusive access to much more. Visit ccdbaker.com for more information.